So, as of late, I've seen a bunch of people here get interested in running the any percent category, and I figured we haven't had a tutorial update in a very long time, and while we're waiting for the more in-depth tutorial by all of the top runners, I figured I might as well just make a simple run-through of the game so people know what we're doing and have something they can base their runs off of. For starters here, these settings don't matter. Just play on whichever options are best for you. If you only have, let's say you're playing on a CRT and your best way is recording through that, you'll want to play with widescreen off. Some people play their games on a monitor here, like I do. You'll want widescreen on just so you can see more of the game. But really, this setting doesn't affect anything. It's just for your own convenience choosing which option is right here. Same with the sound mode here. If you have surround sound, go ahead and turn on the surround sound. It's amazing. I only have stereo sound though, so I'm just going to keep it at that. Yeah, okay, good. So we're just going to start a recruit game right here. A very convenient thing about this game is that the cutscenes can all be skipped, except for 2 of them. So just skip the cutscenes whenever you're able to. Obviously, because Hotshot here is the fastest transformer in the game, we are going to be playing as him. I'm going to go into the controller settings here. You can adjust these as you see fit for whichever way you feel like playing here. I uninvert the y-axis. This means that up is up on the right stick and down is down. If you have it on, then that's inverted. Up is down and down is up. Some people prefer it one way, some people prefer it the other way. Adjust that as you see fit. I keep the vibration on, so I can feel the rumble that this game loves to use. But you can turn that off if you don't like that. Look spring is a toggle that makes it so when you're moving, if you're looking in a direction, the game will slowly return your target or your reticle to neutral. So if you're aiming straight up and you start moving, the game will automatically make your reticle go down until you're back into a neutral position. I prefer keeping this on just because I've gotten used to it. But this is a good setting to turn off if you want more precision with your aiming. And then recon on the R3 button. This just means if you want to go into first person mode, you can push the R3 button instead of circle. First person is never used in the run though, so this setting doesn't really matter. Let me make sure that invert y-axis is turned off for me. Audio settings here, just adjust it as you see fit. And with that, we are ready to go. So, let me get a timer going here. We use a live split, but feel free to find your own timer. Or if you aren't able to time your run using a timer like this, you're just able, you can just send a video to us, and we can time the run for you. Doesn't matter. As long as you're able to get a video run to us, we will gladly accept it. Anywho, let me start a timer right here. You can ignore all the splits and the icons and all that. All we care about here is this green number that's going up. That is our final time. So we're loading into Amazon here, and Amazon, right out of the gate here, we have a trick. This is called the bush skip. What I do here is I drive around this tree, and then I transform going into the bush. You do it correctly, and you'll just soar right over here. So let me go back to the warp gate here. You'll immediately want to transform, drive straight, and then you want to go around this tree right here. This is the easiest way to line up. So we're gonna go around the tree here, and then as you come up to this bush right here, this is one I typically nudge right on the stick a little bit, and then transform. Should be able to pretty easily get over that bush. It's very lenient. But from here, we can just drive through the trees over to our first minicon. And luckily, this path is pretty clear, so avoiding trees is pretty easy. So yeah. I say that and I still find a way to run into a tree anyway though. But follow the basic path that I'm taking here. It's pretty loose in where you need to go. You don't need that. That's just a datacon. We don't collect any datacons in the run because they are completely optional. So if you see a datacon, go ahead and skip it. Our first minicon we need is right over there, so we're just gonna go drive off of this way here. Get some sweet airtime. And then, yeah, this is our first minicon here. This is Claymore. And Claymore here is going to be extremely broken. He's one of the best minicons in the entire game.
You've rescued a minicon. Good work. Every minicon you rescue allows you to access extra functions. And
You'll definitely be using him for multiple boss fights, including this first one.
Minicons could be anywhere. You can equip new minicons as you rescue them. If you want to modify your minicon loadout, return to Autobot HQ.
Thank you, Optimus. So yeah, go ahead and equip Claymore. You're going to be using him. So now what we want to do is we want to go up this way here, around this tree, and then you want to line yourself up between these two trees here like this. You can do this in car mode, but I'm untransformed just so I can show you. And what you do is you drive towards those trees, and right when you pass them here, untransform. That right there is the ravine jump. It's pretty easy to clear the ravine, but even if you don't, luckily there is a path right over there to get yourself back up and go the normal way. So we do the ravine jump, and we come over here to our second minicon. This here is Deflector. Deflector here is, for the most part, optional. It's extremely useful if you want to not take damage from blaster shots, but for us runners, we take those shots. We usually can kill the bosses before those shots actually matter. So I'm going to send Deflector to HQ, but if you're struggling to defeat some of the bosses here, absolutely feel free to equip Deflector. It will be replaced in the next level, but for the little bit that it is good to have, it is very good to have. So I like to go up this way here and go the normal way. There is another path through though. I typically don't do this, but the other runners like to. They like to go this way. You're gonna drive on up here, and then as they approach this seam right here, they untransform. They walk up here, and then meet back with the normal path right over here. Go whichever way you're comfortable with. I prefer to do the left side because, I don't know, it's easier. But the right side is cooler, I will admit that. So yeah, we're just going to progress through the level normally. Feel free to ignore all of Optimus Prime's dialogues right here. And here's a quick little optimization you can use. For small little jumps like these, just transform into them. The small little jump from the transform ends up being faster than that of the standard jump, even with a short hop. Anywho, this is our third minicon here, Flashbang. Flashbang will not be useful for us for a little bit. So we're going to send him back to HQ. We're going to use Claymore for this fight. Jump into this corner right here, and we're going to do our very first jump transform. Now, the jump transform is kind of precise, but it's pretty loose. What you want to do is you want to wait and transform as you're starting the falling portion of your jump. And if you do it right, you'll notice that you kind of jump up in your transform animation. Do it a little too slow, and you'll just fall back down. Do it too late, and then the animation just happens a little bit too late. So you just want to time it till right as you're starting to fall. And then feel free to mash the cross button here to activate the warp gate from like 5,000 miles away.
Is that clear?
And actually, you do want to activate this warp gate. This one is non-optional. We will be using it. The rest of the warp gates, for the most part, are optional. Use them if you want them for convenience. But this one here, you have to activate. Alright, so let's go up and fight the heavy unit. So heavy unit here, we're just going to kill him as fast as possible using Claymore. We're going to want to line ourselves right around here. And then you just... It's a bit of a rhythm. You go tap, 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 tap. Or you can go tap, 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 tap. Basically, just find a rhythm with the Claymores until it kind of locks him into his stun animation. And if you can do that, you basically won't get hit. Sometimes he'll have a little bit of leftover health, but that's fine. It's the heavy unit. He doesn't take a whole lot of health to go down. I did that totally wrong, but whatever. So, going into Antarctica here, we don't need to change our minicon loadout at all. We can just go straight into the level. Skip the cutscenes. I like to move forward and transform before the jolt cutscene. But you don't have to do that. It's just style points. So we're just going to drive through the ravine here. And we're going to go on over this way because over here we are going to be using the jump transform to get ourselves a minicon a little bit earlier than we're intended. Jump and line yourself right around here, and then jump, transform, and then untransform as soon as you can. You do that, you'll easily make it up that jump there, and you'll get yourself shock punch earlier than you're supposed to. However, shock punch is useless for this run. We're going to send him to HQ. I like to transform right around here, and then jump transform to cross that gap like that. Whatever you can do to get yourself over here to this next minicon as quickly as possible. Earn yourself the style points if you want to. Alright, Hawkeye here, our 5th minicon, is also going to be useless. We do not need Hawkeye. Whoop. Don't want to hit that. Alright, so once we get into this area here, we're going to want to go to the right. It's a pretty straightforward path through this level. Just follow my lead here and you'll make it through just fine. Turn left or right here to go to our 6th minicon. And this right here is Watchdog. You're going to hear this a lot here, but Watchdog doesn't end up getting used in this run. So we're just going to send him straight back to HQ. Now we're just going to head over towards the ship right here. Sometimes that spider tank that's behind you there can blast you, but this time we were able to avoid that. transform to get onto the ship and look cool while doing so. And then here we're going to get our 7th minicon, which is Lookout. Lookout will be fantastic later in the run, but for now, we're just going to send him to HQ. Head on over to the research center here, because we've done everything we need to do in terms of collection right over here. If you feel like you're about to die, if you're going to die to Starscream in this fight, go activate that warp gate. If you're just learning this run, it's a fantastic way to optimize getting back to Starscream. Anywho, we have 3 more minicons we're about to get here. Shoot a claymore straight at the thing there, and it will easily bust that house open. And this will get us high gear. Yeah, this is high gear. If you were using Deflector, this is where Deflector would end up getting replaced, because high gear is just so useful for this run. If you weren't using Deflector though, then hey, free time save. If you aren't able to burst a house open with just 1 claymore, by the way, you can shoot the claymore and it blows up, or you can shoot 2 claymores at once and have the 2 blow up simultaneously from colliding with each other. There's a few ways you can burst these houses open, but you just need these 2 because they are the only 2 that have minicons, at least in this difficulty. And now we're going to get Build Up. Build Up is a fantastic equip. Absolutely do so for safety purposes. Dash on over here and we are going to get Spark Jump. Spark Jump is an optional equip. I like to equip Spark Jump for this boss here. You don't have to. You can do the quick kill and the quick kill will easily just kill him. But if the quick kill doesn't work out for you, Spark Jump is a fantastic backup strategy. So I would recommend equipping them. And I'm going to do so like that. Drive on over here, and this is the Starscream boss trigger. Now what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to demonstrate the quick kill. What the quick kill is basically, I want to try and time my power links to a claymore blowing up on his left wing. His left. So we're going to aim to the right of it here. And this is a bit finicky. It doesn't always work. But we're just going to back up like this. I'm going to shoot the claymore. And then I'm just going to mash the claymore and power links buttons. And if you saw his health bar go down super duper quickly right there, that's how you know you got it. It typically is accompanied by a super loud exploding sound effect as well. But if you aren't able to, no worries. If you're shooting Spark Jump at the same time, you're also performing what's called Beam Glitch. And what Beam Glitch does is it keeps your beam activated even during the Power Links cutscene, where it isn't draining your weapon energy. And what this allows you to do is not increase the damage that you're doing to an enemy, but extend the duration that you're able to do damage to an enemy. Effectively doing more damage over time, but, you know, that's getting too into things a bit. In other words, you use the Beam Glitch if you're aiming at something and you want to take it out as quickly as possible with as little ammo as possible. And that's what I did right there. For the most part in that fight, I did damage using the Beam Glitch. Just aim at him, start using Spark Jump, and mash that square button. And you will easily take out Starscream before anything becomes a threat to you. Alright, so we're coming up here on Deep Amazon, and before we go into Deep Amazon, there are a couple things we want to do. If you're using Spark Jump, go ahead and equip them, because we're not going to be using them for the rest of the run. Additionally, we are going to swap Claymore out here for Flashbang. This is the level where Flashbang is able to come in useful. Once you make those swaps, you can go ahead and start the level. Now we just need to make our way down the mountain, and there's like 5,000 different ways you can get down the mountain here. None of them are like that. Nice jump. None of them are that much faster than the others, but just make your way down as quickly as possible, and we are going to pick up Skirmish, and Skirmish is going to be a godsend for most of the run here. You are going to want to equip him and get used to him very quickly. Well, not just yet. Make your way on over to the bridge here, and I like to jump, boost, jump, transform to get across that bridge. There's a few different ways to do so without bonking in car mode. That's something you have to look out for, just bonking in car mode. Make your way over to the temple here as fast as possible. Jump up here. And here we're going to start performing what's called damage boosting. And it's kind of like damage boosting in a Metroidvania, where you just take damage and the knockback from that hit will bump you up to places that you're not supposed to be able to. It's the same thing here. You aim straight down, and then you shoot yourself. If you're barely walking backwards like I am, you can get tremendous height from it and easily be able to clear 2 steps of the temple here. But if not, no worries, just a quick little jump and shoot will easily clear one of these steps. And this is why we equip build up as well, because build up will heal up all the damage we do from damage boosting. So once again, gonna double boost myself on up the temple here. That's a single boost on up the temple. And then we do one more. Perfect. We are at the top. Now be careful when you're boosting here. But boost across the temple here and pick up this minicon. Be careful though, because there is a very high chance if you're not boosting from the edge there, you might fall off before you're able to pick up the minicon. So, if you feel like you're going to fall off, just go ahead and walk on over to Airburst here. But anywho, Airburst does more damage to flying Decepticons and dropships. Just so happens that Cyclonus is a flying Decepticon, and this counts for Airburst. So we are absolutely going to be taking advantage of that. Now, before we get to fighting Cyclonus, we've already done everything we need to do in this trip to Deep Amazon. But let's familiarize ourselves with the Skirmish damage output exploit. That's not what it's called. Just Skirmish rapid firing. So notice when you hold the R1 button here that it drains the gauge for Skirmish, and then you eventually run out and it goes like this. If you instead tap the R1 button, you'll notice that we fire at around the same rate, maybe just a tiny bit slower, but it doesn't drain the gauge as much. And this is what we want. Basically, when you're not holding the R1 button, it's refilling your energy. But you're still able to shoot at the same rate as a normal skirmish. You'll want to get used to mashing like that. It's hard. I will fully admit that that motion of mashing that trigger, well, bumper in this case, gets a little bit taxing. It's something that takes a bit getting used to, but once you do, it's not too bad. And besides, we only use it for 3 bosses in this run. It's not that bad compared to mashing the square button. Well, not even compared to smashing the square button. It's just not that bad. Okay, anywho. So we're going to get into Cyclonus here. And Cyclonus is a run killer if you're not careful. His AI is very stupid and at the same time not easy to manipulate in a way you would like to manipulate him. So my recommendation, before we start the fight here, I just want to show you where we're going to be going. We're going to approach the fight right here and then back up, go around this thing here, and we're going to slide all the way down the side of the temple into that ravine there. Oh, he's going to shoot at me. Is he able to hit me? Dang, okay. Today I learned. That's kind of impressive. Can you, like, not, dude? I'm just trying to demonstrate things. Anywho, we're going to slide down into the ravine there, and then boost before we land so we don't take fall damage. So if you do it correctly, it will look something like this. Save your air burst for when he's transformed as well. Just like that. And as you can see here, he's having a hard time trying to figure out where we are. This is good. We want this. Oh, it seems like he's going to try and make his way down here. Just line up with them and open fire. Get yourself a good pattern, Cyclonus will end the fight very quickly. I've seen fights that go for a very long time, mostly because I've had them happen to myself. But, yeah. If you are struggling, like he lands and then you're going to be taking a lot of damage, a very important note is that when you're transformed and underneath the water, his blaster shots can't hit you. So use that as an opportunity to get yourself to a safe space and start blasting them again, if the fight's going very far down south. Alright, so let's get that split. And we're going to get into Mid-Atlantic. This is the hardest level in the run, if you ask me. Before we go into the level, though, we want to remove build-up here because we don't need build-up anymore. And we are going to swap out Airburst here for Lookout. Lookout happens to do massive damage to anything you can headshot, and our next 2 bosses give us prime opportunity to headshot them. And not just because one of them can only be shot in the head. But yeah, we do want to equip Lookout. It is very important. If you have a feeling that you're going to struggle with Tidal Wave here, doing the normal method of his quick kill, go ahead and bring Spark Jump and use the beam glitch I demonstrated earlier on Starscream. Do that to Tidal Wave. It's quite a bit slower than just mashing Skirmish, but it's a lot more consistent if you want runs that make it out of the level. For this demonstration, though, I'm going to bring Skirmish. And we're going to go get Slipstream straight away here. I like to boost, double jump, then transform. The more jumps you can get, I think it's frame perfect in terms of keeping the momentum, but the more jumps you can do to keep your momentum from the boost, the better. You typically can get 2 of them consistently before you need to transform or just wait for the boost. Anywho, we're going to make our way up here, and we are going to get Slipstream.
This minicon provides you with the ability to glide over long distances. This will be ideal for exploring areas which are otherwise inaccessible. Looks like the Decepticons aren't the only ones who can fly now.
I love how he mentions flying, because even though the glider originally isn't able to, fly, it's literally called a glider. I'm about to teach you the most important glitch in the whole game. The IGU, the infinite glide up. Basically flying. But first, you want to go for a swim here, so we can teleport back to the start of the level. Now, what we need to do here is make our way over to the boat, and that's where the level progresses. But here, I'm going to teach you how to IGU. To IGU, you want to hold down so you're going straight up, and then you want to transform and hit the glide button as soon as possible, and once you're gliding, hold down. And just repeat that button combination over and over again. Oh, very important note. When you do the transform glide button combo, let go of the left stick. Otherwise, you won't be able to go straight up as easily. And I will admit that I'm not the best at this glitch, so I'm not doing a very good job of demonstrating it. There's a much better level to actually practice the IGU as well. But for now, we can just make our way on down to the boat here. Go ahead and hold R3 to look behind yourself to reduce lag from all the light units that are down there. And we can land right here. And right here, we're going to do the boat skip. Line yourself so that you're perpendicular with this glass window right here, and then you want to transform, hold right, immediately untransform, and then boost straight into the glass. If you do it correctly, you're going to trigger the cutscene. Did I say ceiling? I meant just window. Either way, that's how we get into the fight. And then tidal wave here, this is where your IGUs get put to the test. If you're able to IGU, this fight will go very swimmingly for you. If not, it's going to be kind of rough, but you want to face the way I was before going into the fight here. Yeah, let me go for a swim here so I can show you from the very beginning what to do. I did not demonstrate that well enough, but that's okay. So we're gonna go all the way over here to the top of this rock, and you want to face yourself around this angle right here. This is where we want to go to manipulate tidal wave to stop walking as soon as possible, because that is our goal. And you'll know that you're in the right spot if the bright point in that skybox there is lined up with the edge of your screen. And from there, just IGU on up. It's about a minute's worth of IGUs, so I hope you're prepared. Best of luck to you. If you want to check your progress, you can hold R3 to look behind you and see where tidal wave is. Typically he won't run into you, with the way we're going here, it's kind of hard for him to. But as soon as you stop hearing those footsteps, he typically takes like 3 steps and then starts shooting at you. Once you stop hearing that cycle of footsteps, you're able to do a turnaround and go towards him. So to do a turnaround, hold straight up until you start to fall like that. Quickly transform, and then as soon as hotshot is... I did that wrong. Where am I? Okay. So go like that. Hold straight down, and then once you see him flip over like that, quickly transform and do the IGU input, and you'll turn around. The turnaround is pretty tricky though, so if you're not comfortable with doing it, go ahead and just turn around manually. When Tidal Wave puffs himself up like that, he's able to instantly ragdoll you if you fly into his face, so be very careful. And then land and... Ah! That just happens sometimes. So let's start the fight on over again. Yeah, staying on Tidal Wave is very hard. There's a big reason why Tidal Wave is called the run killer. To end all run killers for this game. I lose most of my runs to this boat. So let's IGU on up again. Once again, if you're lined up with that bright point in the skybox there, you know you're going in the right direction. Or with the bright point in the skybox on the right edge of the screen. Alright, let's land on him again. And then once you're on, just go to town. You want to try and stay on his left shoulder here. And angle yourself so that you're able to follow him like this. It's very finicky. There's still a chance that you can fall off here. And if you do fall off, then typically the backup is just shoot at him from behind. Just like that. This fight is the hardest fight in the whole run, so if it takes you a few tries to get it down correctly, don't worry about it, because it will still end your runs even when you're at the top level. And I don't mean to say that to discourage you, it's just a part of the learning process. But I do wish you the best of luck in getting optimal boat patterns. Anywho, now that we're done with boat, Alaska here, we don't need to change our minicons. In fact, if you were using the skirmish and lookout combo from Mid-Atlantic there, you don't need to change that for the next 2 levels. If you're using Spark Jump though, you do want to switch back to skirmish before the next level. So Alaska, we want to go to the side here and ignore going the intended path where Optimus wants you to go, to the lake. We're just gonna go all the way over here. What the heck? Interesting collision. yeah, we want to go over this way. Take that warp gate if you feel like these idiots are going to kill you, but make your way up the side of the ravine here. It makes life a heck of a lot easier. Glide on across the gap here, and we're gonna get this minicon right here. I believe this is Discord. A lot of these middle minicons, like, tend to forget the names. Yeah, it's Discord. Nice. Maybe go on over this way. Whoa, be careful. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just glide over there normally and not be stupid like me. And then we want to jump boost. If you don't have enough speed or height, you can just IGU and get on into this part of the level. Go ahead and get on over here to high jump. Don't ragdoll yourself like that, but yeah, you just want to get high jump as soon as you can. But we're not going to use high jump. Oh no, we are going to perform cave skip here. Cave skip is a bit tricky, but it's also pretty simple. It's just a matter of getting a rhythm down. So we're going to send high jump to HQ. And then line yourself up between the two trees here. I use my targeting reticle to line myself up. And then jump, boost, and then hold down as much as you can. And then once you land here, you're gonna want to press jump, and then glide and land with the cross button at the same time. If you do it correctly, Hotshot will just slide on up the mountain. Sometimes holding forward can help with that too. You'll notice that he kind of just goes back and then forward without the glider even coming out. This is the hardest part of the cave skip right there. That particular section can be annoying. But once you get the rhythm down, it's pretty simple to just get on up the mountain here. And what's nice is there is a halfway point there where you can get your bearings and prepare yourself for the second half of doing the cave skip. But even if you aren't able to do the full thing, don't worry. That halfway point puts you right at the perfect height to do a boost glide over to that warp gate if you want to do this section normally. However, I don't, because it's not fun. So we're just gonna go all the way up here and instead boost glide from there. Get a terrible boost. Have to IGU our way on up. Typically, if you get a good boost, you don't need to do this. Which, by the way, how much boost you get from a boost depends on the angle of the slope that you're boosting off of. Ooh, I'm being a very interesting pilot here for Hotshot. Anywho, get on up here however quickly you can. In fact, let me just go back on down there and do it again. Let's show you what it's supposed to look like. Yeah, it's like that. Cool. Once you're up here, go ahead and collect this minicon here. And we don't need kickback. You can't even equip kickback. But that is it for Alaska. It's a pretty straightforward level once you get the cave skip down. But if you're struggling with it, just keep at it. You'll get it down. I believe in you. Starship. You get to keep the exact same minicon loadout as we did before. If you're using Spark Jump from fighting Tidal Wave earlier, this is where you switch to Skirmish. Now, Starship, normally you need High Jump in order to complete the level, as there's literally an invisible wall that prevents you from being able to complete the level if you're not using it. However, we are going to perform the Starship skip. Now, there's two different methods for this. I'm going to demonstrate the optimal for speedruns method. Whether it's easier is player preference, but we want to drive on over, try and take as little damage as possible here. The less damage you can take, the better. I typically even try and shoot these guys down to make sure that they're not a nuisance. Now, this right here is a very precise trick, but it also has a bit of a setup to it. So to do the Starship skip, I like to line myself right around here, and then I'm going to take a couple steps to the right, and then I press the boost and the cross button at the same time. You do it correctly, and you'll line yourself up with the middle of the gate there. And you'll be able to... Wait a minute. Huh? Alright, let's go down. Do it again. That's kind of crazy. Okay, never mind. That was not correct. That was one of the rare fails where you just land back in the gate. I'm now messing it up entirely now. Luckily, retrying the trick here, if you're just learning it, is as simple as just take the elevator back down. But when I say take a couple steps, I really do mean take a couple steps. There we go. You'll be able to hear yourself kind of falling out of bounds a little bit if you get it correctly. And in fact, you'll need to recover quickly from that. Turn around and boost towards you where you can see all the datacon lights. The amount of height that you get from doing the glitch is kind of random. Sometimes you'll end up really low like I do. Other times you can end up really high and not even have to IGU back on up. But here we're going to have to IGU for a little bit to get ourselves the height to clip back in bounds. And then once you do, you can just glide on into this part of the level right there. Okay, maybe a little bit further down to avoid taking some fall damage, but either way, once we're here, Starscream is going to be doing a ton of damage to us. This is why you want to get into this part of the level with as much health as possible. Because he has a bit of a loop that we can do on him to do a lot of damage. Jump and boost towards him so you can get over to him as quickly as possible. Take a step so he slashes at you. And then once he's slashing like this, there's two animations where he lowers his head far enough down to where we can headshot him. This is one of them, so headshot, and notice that we took out a ton of damage for doing that. This is the other one. If he does this animation, go ahead and headshot him as well. Just pay attention and watch for those two animations, and he is as good as dead. And yeah, there he goes. If you do end up dying, you'll have to... You're probably going to have to reset the run at that point. Because you'll end up in a glitched state that doesn't allow you to go back to that section of the level very easily. So, yeah, at that point, it pretty much does kill your run. That's why I recommend going in with as much health as possible. Most of the time, you should be fine, as long as you're mashing R1 and watching for those 2 animations. And if you're doing that, you'll be just fine. If you're struggling to do it that way, you can bring in Flashbang, or you can do backtracking for a bit and go get Hailstorm from Amazon. And bring that in and just ragdoll him the whole time. Okay, so before we go into Pacific Island here, we need to do a couple swaps. Actually, we need to do one swap. We need to swap Lookout here for Claymore. Yeah, we are back to Claymore. Once we have Claymore, we can go back into the level. Or we can go into the level. And while we're here in Pacific Island, we are actually going to be collecting every single minicon. So this is the recommended route for doing so. As you're heading this way, though, the game starts to lag a bit, so turn your camera around until you're right around there. And then the game will be more than fine with handling the level. So yeah, we're going to drop on in here and grab Corona. And we don't want Corona. That's why we wear masks outside. Anywho, we're going to go on over to this rock. And once we're at the top, we're going to glide on up here. And IGU for a little bit. Basically, once you're around here is when you can get back to driving. There's a few different ways you can get up here, but regardless, you want to get up here and get on over to full speed. And full speed will finally be replacing high gear for you. Oh, sweet relief that we are finally able to use full speed. So yeah, go ahead and swap on in full speed. And we are going to head on over up to the top here. We're going to go activate the Volcano Warp Gate. Hopefully not dying in the process. Thanks, game. But no worries. Actually, the less health we have, the better. Because we will be taking a swim to get back up to this warp gate. Anywho, activate the Volcano Warp Gate. It's the last warp gate we need to activate in the run. In fact, we only activate 2 of them. Whoa. Fly on over this way. We're going to soar over Megatron's arena here. Over this part. And depending on how much health you have here, you either want to slam it down or just land normally. I am closer to death, so I'm just gonna not. Jumpstart. Equip this thing ASAP. Because it's going to be very useful for us. And then we can just glide on over, grab the remaining minicons that we need. I'm going to try a little optimization here. I'm going to just fly straight on down here. We use our claymores to burst this silo open. And this is where we grab Failsafe, who we are also not using. In fact, we don't use any new minicons until the next level. Then over here is Shepard. Uh-oh. We don't want to die there. Alright, pretend I didn't die. And we're gonna go get Shepard. This is why you do want to be at least a little bit mindful of your health. Okay, Shepard's down here. Yeah, just pretend I didn't die. That being said, I do think that's a good optimization. I shall start doing that in future runs. Alright, once you grab all of the minicons in the level, go and take a swim. And we're gonna go fight Megatron. Now with Megatron, we get to just do the same thing we actually did to Starscream earlier, where we were holding R1 and mashing Claymore and Power Links. We're going to do the exact same thing to him right here. And this will take out a ton of health. So yeah, we're just going to mash the triggers. Oh, aim towards him first. Very important that, you actually aim at your target. Alright, so now that you're out of ammo, it's just a matter of avoiding Megatron doing his spinning pile driver move on you. Line yourself up like this, and then you can start shooting claymores at him again. And once you've got him trapped like this, the battle is as good as won. If the cutscene looks a little bit glitchy there, that's because it is. Typically, they don't expect you to actually be able to beat a boss while you're power-linked. And Megatron triggers a cutscene for defeating him, unlike any other boss in the game, so yeah. Okay, so we've unlocked Cybertron, however we are still missing some minicons in order to actually go fight Unicron. So we're going to go ahead and equip Jumpstart there because he's taking up too much power. And we're going to go back to 2 different levels. We're going to go back to Amazon, and we're going to go back to Deep Amazon. And this is why we activated the warp gate earlier. I'm just going to go straight back into doing this. Be careful with this heavy unit up here. He's kind of a jerk. I like to land and then immediately power links to give myself time to adapt to whatever he's going to do to you. Hailstorm. Equip him. He's going to be the last minicon you equip in the whole run. And from here, we can just kind of glide on over and grab the rest of the miniguns that we need. We don't need tractor equipped. And then we're just going to go fly on over to what used to be our very first minicon that we grabbed in the run. We used to do what's called the rock jump. Which is this. However, that has kind of been obsoleted. You can do it if you want to, and it's worth all the style points. But you don't have to. Anywho, equip firefight, and we are going to want to get ourselves to die as quickly as possible. These spider tanks are a good way of doing so. You can also go on over to here and just, you know, hailstorm yourself. Because hailstorm does ludicrous damage. And we're going to go back to HQ. As mentioned before, we're going to go to Deep Amazon to clean out the remaining 5 minicons that we need. And we're going to want to do this fairly quickly here, because the dropship containing Twister is on a cycle. So we want to be able to meet that cycle. Easiest way of doing so, right at the start, just dash and then hold down to do a quick turnaround. And we can go grab this minicon. Careful to not stub your ankles on the way over, like I did. Alright, and then we want to jump boost, and then there is Twister. Be very careful going through this dropship. It's very easy to just miss it entirely. I like to approach it, and then hold L1 to slow down. And then just land on it safely. You can oftentimes pick up the minicon before you've even touched the ground. It's pretty great. We don't need Twister. In fact, we're actually going to glide on over here to Covert. Optimus is trying to call us here and tell us, hey, we have 3 minicons remaining. However, we are already aware that we have 3 remaining, but now 2. Once we have Covert here, we can send him back to HQ 2. Now, the boost that you get coming out of that section is kind of wonky, whether it's a good one or not. I got the most pathetic boost in the entire universe, so I have to IGU over these trees. But sometimes you get a good one, and you can just clear those trees super easy. Lickety split like that. Then we're going to glide on over to this minicon right over here. I believe this is Knockdown? Again, these minicons that don't matter to us, I kind of forget them. Anywho, this is the last minicon in the run, and one of the few that actually has some warnings to it. I like to power links before going in because this guy here, his ability when he shoots you drains your minicon energy, which sucks when we want to get back to HQ as quickly as possible, and the way we do that is through death warping using Hailstorm. So get back here quickly, Hailstorm yourself, boom, perfect. Wait for a bit to be able to take damage again, and then do it again. And with that, that's it. You have collected all of the 30 minicons required to go beat the game. So with that, yeah, you can just go on. Nope. I'm pushing too many buttons. You can go on over to Cybertron and go defeat Unicron. Now, Unicron might be the easiest boss in terms of actually fighting him, because let's be real, it's really hard to lose to Unicron. However, in terms of the speedrun, it's very difficult to get a good pattern out of him, in that there are often times where he'll just fly away so far away that you're unable to hit him. This first phase is lenient enough with the timing to where you can always make it, unless you specifically go out of your way to avoid Unicron. But starting from here, there are times where he will just fly so far away that straight up you will not be able to get to him in time. This is what I'd consider a bad phase, where there's a potential for me to straight up miss the shot here. To the best of my knowledge, the easiest way to manipulate Unicron in your favor is to never fly directly towards him. If you can fly at an angle that's kinda aiming at him, but never directly at him, he tends to be a little more favorable in terms of where he goes. Sometimes he'll just decide to fly off to the middle of nowhere anyway, and you just gotta deal with it. But notice here how I'm not flying at him, but I'm keeping an eye on the little target that shows where he's going. So I'm always aware of where he is. And each different phase of the fight has different timings for how long he flies. For the first 3 hits, he'll fly around for 10 seconds. For hits 4 through 6, he'll fly for 20. And for the last hit, he flies for a whopping 40 seconds. So be prepared. You're gonna have to be manipulating him for quite a while. Sometimes he goes into this type of phase here where he's gonna fake you out. Typically that happens if he just yeets himself off towards the beginning of the phase. If he does that, be prepared for him to swing back towards you. Oh, and don't miss your shots. You miss a shot, and chances are he's probably going to shoot Cybertron. So line yourself up with your shots. Don't try and shoot too early. Here's the case in point. He's going to fling himself around. And this time he's going to go fly off to somewhere. He's going to come on back this way here. And there you go. Last phase here. This is the one that sucks to lose your shot on. I've had that happen many times. But such is the case of fighting Unicron. He'll just do that, but on the runs where you truly earned it, the game just so happens to know, and Unicron will be nice to you. You be nice to Unicron, he'll be nice to you. Maybe. I don't know. Oh, he's gonna go way out of there. on the last phase, chase him down, he is going to try and fling himself away from you a lot of the time. Never fly directly at him, as stated before, but don't stop. And with that, you are done with the game. Now, in terms of getting videos submitted to the speedrun leaderboards, the quality doesn't really matter. We have a runner who goes by Yeti who submits like recordings from like a phone camera. I think it's a phone camera. But either way, he doesn't have a capture card, and he submits his runs that way, and that's totally fine. As long as we can see what's going on, it's totally fine for submission. I load my game off of a hard drive because my disk drive is kaput. It doesn't work. It doesn't work very well, that is. That's totally fine for our game here. If you need help with setting that up, just let me know and I will gladly give you the instructions on doing so. But that's totally fine for our game. And yeah, we submit all our runs to speedrun.com on the Transformers page, which will be linked in the description. And if at any point in this video you feel like something was a little confusing, don't worry about it. Just let me know, and I will gladly explain to you what I meant by that section. Because this game, although it appears simple on the outside, and for the most part, yeah, it's a pretty simple run, just you need to know the route through the level for the most part, and maybe a couple of strategies for taking down the bosses. But there's also a lot of complex things that get involved too, like fast tidal wave. Oh, that sucks. If at any point you're ever feeling stuck, don't worry, we can help you out. And by we, I mean the Transformers Discord, which I forgot to mention this whole time. I will have a link for that in the description here as well. Anyone wants to join along for the fun? You've discovered something that we weren't aware of, and you want to tell us how stupid we are at running this game? Hey, we are glad to learn new things from you. Do you want to discuss strategies and get some help with the game? Yeah, just hop on in. I'll have a link for all of you in the description. But with that, I will leave you to the Brown Hornet. Thanks for tuning in, watching this guide all the way through. If you liked what you saw, give me a follow on Twitch, subscribe to my Twitch if you really want to help support, and subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. My Twitch is at twitch.tv/BubbyNE, BUBBYNE, and my YouTube is just called Bubby. You can just search my name and Transformers and it will probably come up. I'm hopeful that the algorithm will give me priority on my name someday. But yeah, let's rock. Thanks for watching.